Hello again. I see that the other two videos I put up have not been watched even once. It's kind of hurting my feelings. But please make sure you watch these. You're not going to be able to answer the questions on the mechanical worksheet unless you watch them very closely and take notes and have your outline in front of you and know enough to email me questions if you have any confusion about anything. So I encourage you to do that. I do realize that I'm trying to do this off the top of my head kind of without the outline on the board in front of me. I left out the third party who's involved in mechanical licensing. I did tell you it was the Harry Fox Agency, but I didn't tell you much about them. So here's my little spiel on the Harry Fox Agency. Originally, it was started as a branch of the National Music Publishers Association, the NMPA, in order to help out publishers get their money, and operated like that for years and years and years until, I don't know, maybe 10 years ago or less, it was bought by SESAC, who was endeavoring to try to get a corner on the licensing marketplace by becoming a prominent PRO, performing rights organization, at the same time offering mechanical representation, and then also trying to get them involved in the new mechanical licensing collective of which they may be a part. So SESAC owns them currently. They are by far the number one mechanical licensing agent in the United States. Sometimes people try to start new ones and compete with the Harry Fox Agency and are not very successful at doing that. So they are really the predominant one here in the United States. There are other collection agents over in foreign countries for sure. There's usually only one, and it quite often is run by the government and quite often also is affiliated with the performing rights organization. So it's like one-stop shopping there in Germany, for instance. GEMA is the name of their organization. So what Harry Fox does is sometimes publishers say, I don't want to mess with this stuff, the mechanical licensing. I don't want to take the calls. I don't want to negotiate. I don't want to issue the license. I don't want to collect the money. Let's just let somebody else do that. And so they give their entire catalog to Harry Fox to represent them for mechanical licensing. So if they get a call, hello, yes, you'd like to record one of my songs. You want a mechanical license? Sorry, Harry Fox handles that for me. You should call them. And then you get in touch with Harry Fox. You fill out a form, and they will issue the mechanical license to you. They will also collect the money from you, and then they will take a fee out of it to make some money. That's currently 11.5% of what they collect. So if they collected $1,000, they would take 150 of it out, and they would send it over to the publisher to split with the writer. However, their agreement provides them to split that money. So why do publishers use them? And there are several reasons, as I have in my outline. It allows smaller publishers to concentrate on the creative aspect of their business and not have to deal with that administration stuff. It's one-stop shopping for somebody who needs a license. So if you know of a song that you want to record, you have to hunt down the publisher, which sometimes is difficult because publishers change and they sell their catalogs, and you might find some credits that have inaccurate or not up-to-date recent information. And so having a bunch of stuff at Harry Fox saves you a step, that you call them and say, do you represent this song? And there's a good likelihood that they do in some way or form. So it provides one-stop shopping. Yep. It also minimizes negotiation because Harry Fox does not have the ability to negotiate. So if you called up Harry Fox and said, yeah, I need a mechanical license, I'd like the 3/4 rate, they say, we're not empowered to do that. The publisher just gave us the ability to issue these licenses at the full rate, and we can't negotiate. You get in touch with the publisher if you want something better. So it minimizes the need or presence of negotiation and trying to, in your effort to try to stay true to that 100% rate. It also will get you paid. Did you know what is the biggest problem in this business? You guys should all say it once. What's the biggest problem in this business? That's right, getting paid. And if you're a small publisher and you're trying to get money out of a record company, good luck to you, because you're going to be way down in their priority list. He who has the money wins is the legal precept that businesses live by. So Harry Fox will get you paid because you could threaten, hey, pay me or else, and they won't care. But Harry Fox, if they say, hey, you didn't pay for this particular song, they say, we will pull every license that you have, which is hundreds or thousands of licenses you have from the Harry Fox Agency. We'll take them all away from you unless you pay all of your license fees. So they have the muscle, the clout, to get you paid. They also perform regular audits of all record companies. Now, auditing can be an expensive enterprise. Sometimes the audit costs more than you ever recover. So Harry Fox goes in to every record company every 2 or 3 years and audits everything. And what they will tell you is that they recover more for you in lost royalties due to these audits than they actually charge, greater than the 11.5%. So that's why they say that that's effective. So there you go. That's the Harry Fox agency in a nutshell. What you should know is what they do. They issue licenses on behalf of publishing companies. They collect the money. They take their fee. You should know the fee. What is it? 11.5%. And they distribute the rest to the publisher to split with their writer accordingly. and you should know the reasons why publishers should use them. And you should also, if you're a songwriter, inquire as to whether they do their own administration, because that means more money to you if they actually issue their own licenses rather than go through the Harry Fox agency, because that just cuts 11.5% out of there. So there you are. The next finishing part of this lecture is just pitching a song to know what the day-to-day life of a song plugger is, and most of it is kind of obvious as to how you do this sort of thing, but maybe there's some insights into some particular things that you might get from this. Have your outline out in front of you. Who plugs songs? Well, publishers obviously have full-time pluggers on staff. There are also song plugging companies. So if you're a songwriter and you can't get a deal with a publisher, but you still want your stuff shopped, you can hire somebody to do it. Some people will do it just for a percentage of whatever they get for you. Others will charge you a fee. I'd be very wary of that, where you put them on retainer for $500 a month and they'll shop your songs. If your songs are good enough, somebody will do it for a percentage rather than you having to pay them to do it. And then also songwriters plug their own songs. Sometimes songwriters have difficulty getting a fair deal, after some degree of success and then some degree of non-success. They have trouble getting a new deal or getting a deal for what they think they're worth, whatever it might be. Or maybe they don't want a deal, and so they will plug their own songs. So that's pretty common too. You absolutely need contacts in this business to operate as an effective song plugger. And that is, you should build a giant database of all of the players that are in this business that you need to have a relationship with, and that will include producers and A&R people and the artists themselves and all sorts of people that are involved in that decision making. You need to build personal relationships with them. That is not necessarily that you can call them and say, let's go bowling tonight, but that they know you and that they trust you and that they have a confidence level in your ability to do something for them. Not in a selfish way, but everybody's trying to build their business up, and you're either an asset and a help to that, or you're wasting their time in some way. So you want to build that positive relationship. People want to do, you should be a good hang. I tell people that that's the only thing anybody ever remembers from this class is be a good hang. Be somebody that somebody wants to spend time with. Be somebody that somebody wants to succeed with. And do it at your own level, even with people that aren't in positions of power at any given time, and you'll find everybody rises together. So that right now, people that got out of this program 10 years ago are at vice presidential levels. But 10 years ago, you should have been forming these relationships with people that were interning, with people that were at entry-level positions, etc. Forge those relationships with people in Nashville and beyond, because this is no longer 20 years ago when people looked down their noses at Nashville. It's just a hick town. Do they have running water there? This is a creative community that's recognized for being the songwriting capital of the world. And so whether it's Lady Gaga or T-Pain or Ingrid Michaelson, is that her name? Or whoever, you need to develop relationships with everyone. Justin Bieber, and expand beyond Nashville to New York, LA, London, etc. And know who the decision makers are. That is, with every given project, you should know who the decision maker is. That with this artist, it's the artist themselves. They're very, very powerful, and they don't do anything that they don't love themselves. Or with this artist, everything is screened by the manager. Or this artist, they're heavily dependent upon the producer. Or this artist, their spouse is the one that they trust to make the decision as to whether a song is good or not. So know who those decision makers are. So you need all those people, and then you need to know what's going on. You need to know what's going on. And you do that by having this network of people and contacts that know what's happening and can fill you in on who's in the studio and who's recording and what sort of songs they need and that sort of thing. There's also tip sheets out there in every aspect of this business, for every genre, for every type of licensing that occurs. There are people that publish documents, usually on a weekly basis, showing what's going on, who's in the studio, who you should send stuff to, what configuration they're looking for, what kind of songs, did I say that? What kind of songs they're looking for, when the album's planning to come out, all sorts of information like that. Here in Nashville, we have one called Row Facts that is actually something that is prepared by the magazine Music Row. And so every week they put out a little document, maybe I'll email it to you, that says, hey, Tim McGraw is in the studio and he's looking for, you know, a hit song. That's what they always say. Looking for hit songs. Oh, okay, I was going to send you something different, but nah, I guess I'll give you the hit song. So you'll see they're looking for hit songs. They're looking for, sometimes it'll say same as the last album. So just to show you how much creativity there is in country music. Hey, send us songs that are just like the ones we did the last time. Sometimes they'll say, oftentimes, the most common thing besides looking for hits is looking for an up-tempo song. And that is because there's a lot of ballads out there already, and up-tempo songs are really important for artists in two ways, at least psychologically. I don't know if it's true or not. Number one is that radio likes to play up-tempo songs. At least that's what they say. And they say that because they want people upbeat while they're listening to the radio station, so that when the song is over, whoo, an ad comes on, they go, I want to buy that car from that guy because I just heard this up-tempo song. So they say they're looking for it, so that's what artists want to record. And sometimes people say the reason why females don't get as much airplay, one of the reasons, is that they don't do as many up-tempo songs, which I don't know if that's true or not, but if you look at someone like Shania Twain, and you look at some of the biggest artists that we have in country music over the last 20, 25 years, they're people with up-tempo songs. And Shania Twain had that rock and roll, dun, 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 dun. Man, I feel like a woman. She was successful because she got a lot of radio airplay because those songs were so up-tempo. The other value of an up-tempo song is that it makes the live show more compelling. And some people tell you that's, you know, that's what launched Garth Brooks, Tim McGraw, and Kenny Chesney, is that they had upbeat songs that really could get an arena going, could get a stadium going, as opposed to ballady kind of stuff. And they will tell you that some of the artists like Brett Eldridge and Chris Young, who happen to be MTSUers, with their deep voices and their reputation for ballads, hit a ceiling as to how far they can go because their live shows are just not compelling. They're just a bunch of slow ballads that you sit there and listen to. So for those two reasons, up-tempo songs are very valuable to have. You should also know there's going to be some kind of terminology, reference to artists, reference to kinds of songs, and you better know what those things are. I don't. Like somebody say, I'm looking for a shuffle. I don't know what a shuffle is, but it's some kind of style of country music. So be conversant in the genre and what the terminology is for that. Take a look at trade magazines to see what's going on. That's Billboard, Music Row, etc. for country music, but for whatever genre you're working in. Listen to radio, watch the radio charts to see where music is going and evolving. Look at sales. Very, very important to not only know what's going on now, because that's what, you know, happens to be what radio and the consumer are liking in the moment, but also to look for what kind of trends are occurring. So we do have right now Sam Hunt, who has sampled a song and really done something different. See if is that the future? Should we be working on writing songs that have hooks in them from classic country songs and doing it maybe even better than Sam Hunt did, because it didn't look very good, didn't sound very good to me. So knowing what's going on there, very, very important, and any other kind of research that you can get into, looking at all the data and all the stuff that's out there to know what's going on now and know what's coming around the corner. I just listened to a 7-second sample of Kane Brown's new song that is being released on Thursday, and it seemed to have like a, I don't know, hip-hoppy electronic vibe to it. So who knows? Obviously, find songs that match. That's what you're doing. You're plugging a song. You're trying to match a song to a particular artist. And so some strategies for doing that is, first of all, know your catalog. I did, at the beginning of the semester, I explained to you how quickly a catalog grows. And if you're a song plugger, you're dealing with the most recent songs and trying to get them done. And you forget about a song from a month ago, a year ago, 5 years ago, 10 years ago. So really, really be familiar with your catalog. Place an asterisk next to songs you think were great but were never recorded. And this is a great opportunity, not just for a song plugger who's on the front lines already, but somebody who's trying to get into that and operating as an intern or an entry-level employee in the tape room or the catalog as a catalog manager. It gives you a great opportunity to really know that catalog, to tag that catalog very effectively, so that if somebody's looking for a shuffle, you press shuffle and boom, a song with that beat or tempo or whatever the hell it is will come up, or a love song, or so make sure that those songs in the catalog are properly tagged and marked, so that when somebody's looking for a particular kind of thing, boom, that thing jumps up. Listen to that old stuff. Ask the decision maker, hey, sometimes it will say looking for hit songs, but if you talked to Luke Bryan's producer, he or she might give you greater information as to what they're looking for. Hey, we're already done with 8 songs. We only need 2 more songs. We already have enough love songs. Give us something that's about, I don't know, a girl dancing in cutoff jeans. I don't know. So know the artist's image, because artists want to sing songs that reinforce their image. And so you listen to their old stuff, get a look at who they are, what they're trying to be, maybe even for new artists trying to extrapolate as to what kind of image they're trying to portray, and find songs that resonate and match that image. Know what they've sung before. I guess that's part of it, and where they're going. So fast, slow songs, the subject matter of songs, what is their vocal range that they do. So if you're trying to pitch something to Carrie Underwood, you want that song to have a tremendous vocal range so that she can show off her vocals. If you're pitching to Tim McGraw, you want it to have a range of about 3 notes, because that's all he can handle. Don't tell him I said that. He's in a little better shape than me, I think. If you know an artist is going into the studio, have artists write specifically for that artist. So knowing what they are, what they do, what they've sung before, all that kind of stuff. Hey, this really powerful artist, if you know that Selena Gomez is going to the studio, write a song that Selena Gomez would want to record. And often that's very productive, rather than just having a generic song that could appeal to anybody. Oh, I have something in bold here. Have this. This is how the job of song plugger has evolved. What you do as a song plugger is you're scheduling all your writers every day, which can be a tall task if you're somebody who has 26 writers assigned to you at Warner Chappell. Making sure their calendar is full. And traditionally what you do is you try to hook them up with other writers. And that was productive, to try to find chemistry between writers and things that would be productive. Try to have them write with great writers whose stuff is always looked at. So if you can get them in the room with Ashley Gorley, you're in great shape. But that was really the extent. And then you'd have a bunch of songs that you could pitch to any artist. Today, what you need to do is you need to get your writers in the room with that artist, because most artists have some hand, small or large, in the writing of their songs. Much, much different from how it was 20 years ago, 30 years ago, etc. And this goes for the country world, the pop world. When I just mentioned Selena Gomez a second ago, I thought to myself, Selena's not going to record something that somebody wrote. She's going to want to be in the room with the producers and everybody else and have a songwriting credit on that thing. So this is the #1 priority of a song plugger, is to get your writer in the room with the artist. Because if I were industrious, I would have looked at Billboard this morning and looked at the top 20 country songs and seen how many had no involvement from the artist. How many songs in the top 20 were recorded by artists who had no hand in writing the song. I did do that. What do you think? How many? Out of the top 20, #1 through 20, how many songs was the artist not listed in the credits? Take a guess. Anyone? Tanner? No? Gabe? No? Audrey? No? 17. Did anybody get that right? 17. Only, Did I say that right? 17 had the involvement of the artist. 3, there we go. Only 3 songs were recorded from the outside without any artist involvement. So that's a sea change from the way it used to be. Encourage writers to become producers. And that's been a wave that's happened recently over the last 5 to 10 years here in Nashville that echoes what's gone on in other genres, is that producers get involved in the project. Producers are also songwriters. So if you get your writer to produce an artist, to produce an album, they're likely to have a credit on each one of those songs. So it's been a very popular thing, and a lot of writers become producers to develop artists. So that's what happened with Luke Bryan. Luke Bryan was developed by somebody, Jeff Stevens, who was a writer for Warner Chappell. So that can be a very productive way to go about it. Have your writers become producers as well. And that's really, really common, more common than you might think these days in country. Produce a demo. You got to get a demo together. It should be the highest quality possible. There are times where you feel confident just giving a piano vocal or guitar vocal, depending on the power of the song and the person that's performing it. But these days, it's so possible to record almost a master quality demo. It used to be really, really hard or expensive in the past. Now your writers, especially writers that are producers, can produce a demo that sounds really good. And what you want is for somebody to be listening to the song and you can't trust the vision of an artist or an A&R person or a producer to take that piano vocal and to think of what you could make it into a master. If you can give them something that sounds like it's already fully produced and already could be on the radio, then they're much more likely to want to record it. So that's what you see nowadays, is that a lot of really highly produced stuff. You might tailor to particular types of artists, whether it's male or female or vocal style or a particular specific artist. We're going to do a demo and I'm going to have this singer sound like Carrie Underwood so that she can identify and see herself singing this song. So that's very common too when you have somebody big who's recording and you really want to attract their ear. Showcase the vocals. That's what people want to hear because the artist is going to think of themselves and how they're singing that song. Get a great vocalist, and there are some spectacular demo singers here in town. Spectacular. Showcase the melody. Those are the two things that are going to hit people over the head, is the melody and the vocals. The vocals obviously encompassing the lyrics. You show the lyric sheet. Those are the things that are going to grab people. And then make sure you understand what format people like to listen to things in. As I said on those tip sheets, it'll tell you CDs only. It'll tell you MP3s, just send them to me, whatever it might be. But know what the preference is for people that are listening to stuff. Well, this is one reason why it'd be very difficult for me to be a song plugger, is you have to be prepared for rejection. Unless you're Rusty Gaston working at Sony, who gets a cut 1 out of every 2 times he shops a song, it's mostly going to be rejection. You're going to be out there, you're going to be shopping these songs, and you're lucky if you get 1 song meaningful cut per week, which means you're getting a lot of rejected stuff. And so it's hard for some people to deal with that. It's hard for me to deal with that. I couldn't even stand it when I saw that nobody had been watching my videos. So you got to be prepared for rejection, but think long term. They have other artists that they might want that song for. They might keep it in mind for the next project that just didn't fit in with that one because they already had songs like that and they were looking for something a little bit different to round out the album. Be persistent without being obnoxious. You do want to be like a salesperson where you're trying to get somebody to come to a positive decision. And sometimes that takes a little bit of pushing, but you don't want to be obnoxious because, as I said, that will destroy the relationship that is so necessary to continuing and to have opportunities in the future. Listen to feedback. If something's not happening with a particular song, find out why. Maybe it's not as good as you think it is. Maybe it can be tweaked. Maybe there's something in the lyrics or something that can be done better. So, or the tempo or something. So try to get as much feedback as you can. And that shows that you're interested in what people think as well. The pitch should be in person if possible. A lot of times people just say, hey, you got any songs for this? Just send them to me. It's always better to do it in person because then you can make sure somebody listens to it. You can make sure somebody listens to it beyond 10 seconds. You can explain to them the attractiveness to the song. You can expand on what can be done production-wise outside of the demo. So it's always better if you can do it in person and make it personal. Always take just a minimal amount of time. That is, people are listening to songs all day. If you come in there and you got 15 songs you want them to listen to, and none of them are good, they're going to be like, I just wasted an hour of my time listening to these 15 songs. Just take your best stuff, take a minimal amount of time, get in and get out so that the next time they're going to want to see you because they trust you're not going to take up too much of their time. Sometimes record companies have bigger sessions than that. So they'll say, hey, we got 10 artists in the studio or going into the studio in the next 3 months. Just bring me your 20 greatest songs. And that's fine to do it under those circumstances. But know the room, judge the room. That's what I'm saying. Let them know if somebody else is interested. Sometimes that's motivating to someone because everybody likes to cover their ass and make sure that not put their own judgment on the line. They want some kind of reinforcement of that judgment. And if you say, hey, this artist is interested in recording this song, they think, well, I thought it was good too. Maybe I'll grab it. Always keep in your database, keep track of what you've done and who you've seen and the A&R person's kids' names. So when you call them, you go, hey, how's Billy doing in school? This is a soccer team. So keep track of what you've done, what you've shot people to, what the feedback has been, and follow up where it's necessary or called for. There are a few challenges that are involved in plugging songs, and I'll give you some of them now. They're on the outline. Number one, somebody wants a song for a new artist or a lesser artist. That is, you think you have this really cool hit song, and you want the best and most popular artist, the one who's most likely to move as many copies as possible, who's going to get streamed as much as possible, who's going to be successful at radio as much as possible. And you got this A&R person saying, hey, I got this new artist we just signed, or this artist is kind of a lower tier artist. What are some of the considerations as to whether you should let them record that or not? Well, you should get to know the artist, especially if it's a new one. Who is this artist? Let me see them. Let me meet them. Let me see if this is correct. How much energy and promotion is going to go into this artist? Some labels have a reputation for everybody that they sign and every record that they put out, they're going to put maximum energy into at least that first time or the first couple of times. And then there are other labels where artists just disappear. Records just get shelved and you don't know what happens. Curb Records used to have that reputation. They'd say, oh, you signed to Curb, you're in the Artist Protection Program now because nobody's ever going to hear from you again. So know what the reputation of the label is and know what kind of deal they have with that artist. Is it a long-term deal or is it just a developmental deal where they're doing this one single to see if anything happens with it? How long have you been shopping this thing? And is anybody else interested in it? So if you've been shopping this thing for a year and a half, maybe it's just time to let go of this. The right person, the person you had in mind for this is not going to do it, and so you should just have any action happen. Is it the right artist? That is it a match where the artist and the song are going to complement each other and propel that song to greater heights? Try to get a quid pro quo. I used to have to explain this Latin term until Trump's impeachment hearings. That is, tell them, all right, I'll let you have this song. I really was going to save it for somebody bigger, but I'll let you have this song and maybe it'll help to launch this artist's career. And but you do me a favor, so put another song on there from my publishing catalog or on the next. Just remember, I did this favor for you, and maybe you'll do a favor for me next time. Also, you should be aware that if an artist has success with a writer very early in their career, they tend to stick with that writer and put a song or two on every album forever and ever. So sometimes it's a really valuable thing to get in your writer in with an artist on the ground floor. Can they guarantee a single? Well, that's the biggest thing now. So getting a deep album cut on any artist, let alone a new artist, is almost worthless these days because people don't buy albums. You get paid by streaming, you get paid by radio, you get paid for the hits. So if they tell you this is a new artist and this is going to be their first single, well, that's better than getting, I don't know, the biggest artist in the world and getting a deep album cut on them that's just going to sit there. So if they can guarantee a single, that's a good thing. I'm reminded again of Rusty Gaston, who his writers at This Music, I forgot which one it was, Connie Bradley and Jesse Alexander, they wrote this song called Drive My Car, or is that a Beatles song? Drive Your Car? Baby, you can drive my car. That's a Beatles song. It's Drive Your Car, about somebody's father dying and driving their car around and all the stuff that's in the car. Anyway, he knew it was a great song. And he, in fact, they recorded a crappy demo right at the session, and he listened to it. This is unbelievable, and he shopped the crappy demo. And he said, and he took it to the biggest artist he could. Hey, Kenny Chesney, record this, because Kenny Chesney's got a history of having radio hit singles. Hey, Tim McGraw, please record this. Hey, Luke Bryan, please record this. And they all said no. And so he shopped it to Lee Brice, who was not a new artist, but certainly not A-level artist, and said, hey, would you record, we want to record this song? And Lee Brice was like, is this a practical joke? Well, why would you give this to me instead of somebody bigger? He said, I tried to give it to other people. They didn't want it. And this song is great. Your voice is great. It matches. I know it's going to be a hit single no matter what because I trust your label. There you go. So sometimes it's, and that turned out to be the song of the year, by the way. So sometimes it's in your best interest to do that. I don't know if I discussed the process of holds, but when you're shopping songs, when somebody's interested in it, they say, I'd like to put that on hold. And what that means is, hey, stop shopping that thing because I'm going to record this. But you don't know if they're going to record this. You don't know if they're going to release it. In fact, when somebody puts something on hold, you think, oh yeah, celebrate, but you don't. You don't, because you just don't know what's going to happen. So should you stop shopping it? Or should you continue to shop it? It's a delicate thing. You have to know the artist, you have to know the label and the producer, and see what kind of history they have. Some artists will put 50 or 100 songs on hold for a year, and you just don't want to be involved in that process when it's a valuable song. Or have other people indicated interest? Maybe you want to go back to them and say, hey, this person wants to put it on hold. Were you really interested in this? Somebody you have more confidence in. How big the artist is. Obviously, if it's the biggest artist in the world, you'll let them put it on hold because you need that. How long they're going to put it on hold for, find out about that. And sometimes people, even when you put it on hold, people will keep pitching it. And there have been a few instances where that's led to problems because they keep pitching it and then somebody says, okay, I want that. And then they want to record it and they want to record it. And they both have it on hold. Fights, and it can ruin your reputation. So it's a very delicate thing. For somebody to put something on hold, you want that to happen. But you realize that sometimes it doesn't mean anything. Sometimes it's on hold for too long. It's taking a great song out of circulation. So you really have to read the room again. You need to read the room. Sometimes they want a reduced rate, and you're going to have to use your best judgment on that. If somebody's got the bargaining power and it's worth it for you to get 75% of the statutory rate versus 100, maybe you do it. Publishers don't like to do it anymore. Sometimes they give you an advance, which is not common in terms of mechanical royalty. So they'll say, I'm going to record this song. I'll give you $100,000 right now in advance for the royalties that are going to be earned. And you don't know if that song will ever earn those royalties or not. So maybe you'll be motivated to give them a reduced rate if they give you an advance. Sometimes for particular kinds of records, charity records, record clubs, which used to exist, that is, people join record clubs and get 13 records for a penny and then a record every month. Sometimes for various compilation albums and for that have a lot of songs on them. The mechanical royalties would be too much if you get a 20-song compilation, now 32, now 122. I don't know, what are they up to now? Sometimes if it was a full rate, they wouldn't be able to put the record out because the mechanicals would be so high because you're paying 9.1 cents for 25 songs. So depending upon the circumstances, you may want to give somebody a break and do the 75% rate. Normally when those situations occur, what the record company is asking you is saying, we're only giving 75% of the statutory rate to everybody on this thing. And so you should agree to it too. And if that's the circumstance, what you're going to do, and it's a term we might run into again and was actually in your administration agreement dealing with sheet music, is you get I'm doing air quotes, a most favored nations clause, which says, hey, I agree to the 75% rate because you said everybody was getting that. If it turns out you've given somebody 100%, then I'm going to automatically escalate to that higher rate that you've granted somebody else. That's called a most favored nations clause, and we'll run into that sometime in the future. Sometimes they want to cut the cut. Sometimes they just want to cut out the royalties. I'll record this thing if you kick back 10% of the publishing royalties to me. Sometimes they want a piece of the publishing. I'll record this thing if you give me 15%, 25% of the publishing, 50%. And sometimes they'll say, hey, you've got to list me as a co-writer on this song. As I said, that was the Elvis tax, where his publisher said, we'll record that song, but list Elvis on here and I get half the song. So you get publishing, writer credit, all sorts of stuff like that. Again, use your own judgment for something like that. I don't agree that any of these things are ethical, but under the circumstances, you're a new publisher, it's a new writer, it's a powerful artist. Who knows what the dynamic of that situation is that might lead you to say, this makes good economic and financial sense for me to do. All right, so that's it for now. Oh my God, that was a long one. I thought it was going to be shorter. Remember, watch all these. If you're watching this, then you know to do that. And get your mechanical worksheet in at the time prescribed, Tuesday at 11:59. Not midnight, because we're too confused by that. And then Wednesday we'll have a Zoom session, I believe, at 2:30 to go over some of the math and any questions you might have. And then we're going to move right into performing rights, which I've got a bunch of stuff for you to read, and then synchronization rights, and then see if we can squeeze in foreign publishing and some other stuff. So I can see the light at the end of the tunnel. So I hope you can too. Seems like everything's starting to pick up and get better, I hope. And I can't wait to be in a classroom with people. I don't know if that'll ever happen again. So until next time.